What's up, everybody? I'm Blessed and Free. Welcome back to another episode of DOC TV. So if you guys are tuning in for the first time on this channel, we talk about jail, prison, corruption, the criminal justice system, and basically how things need to change in the criminal justice system all the way into the prisons. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. A lot of people don't know about it, but on this channel, we're going to expose all of that. I love to bring guests on. I like to do interviews. I like to hear different perspectives from state to federal and just how it's all different all over the world to do time. So today I got a guest for y'all. For the people watching at home, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and where you're from?
Hi, my name is Regina Harris, and I'm from Hammond, Louisiana.
They got that good Cajun food out there now, huh?
Oh, yes, certainly does. Jambalaya, the beignets, anything, you name it. Definitely soul food, tons of it.
Yeah. So what was life like growing up for you? I assume you grew up in Louisiana?
Yes, I did. I grew up in Louisiana in a very small town, and I grew up in a single parent household, and what my situation was, I lived with my grandparents. My mother, she used to drink a lot. It just really wasn't a good environment. You know, it was just better off with my grandmother. I always dreamed, visualized, and imagined so much more outside the realm of the world that I was living in. But the environment kind of pushed me to be like more persistent with trying to get out of the lifestyle that I was growing up in and that I was accustomed to.
Yeah, and that's crazy because my mom was the same way, single parent. My dad died and she was an alcoholic, eventually started doing drugs. And, you know, my grandparents kind of raised me too. So except I chose to go down the bad path instead of getting out of that chaos.
Right.
You know, obviously you're on this channel because you've been to prison. What was the crime that led you into prison?
Well, the penal code for me was 18 USC 7206. And basically what that is filing fraudulent documents and tax returns. So I was a tax preparer that got took down for basically defrauding the system.
All right. And did that like start right when you got into the tax stuff? Did you immediately start doing that, or was that something that came the longer you started doing taxes?
Well, my first 3 years were phenomenal. I wanted to do everything that was right, perfect, pristine. I wanted to go on to fly out to Vegas when they do the annual seminar for preparers. And I was very intrigued and enthused with my business. But after that, I felt like I made enough, but I wanted more. Like it was a burning desire just to want and have more money. Like it just really wasn't enough. So with me, I went in and I started figuring out other alternatives to doing taxes. I started off with the little W-2s here and there. So if you came in with a W-2 and you only made $2,000, I'd honestly jack it up and put that you made $12,000 with about 10% taken out on federal. And then after that, I was like, I got scared. You know, I'm like, no, let me find another tactic. So I go in and do what's called HSH income, household employee income. Now, normally you don't put no more than $2,200 on that particular form, but I was jacking it all the way up to be the equivalent of a low income W-2 in order to get somebody $8,000 to $10,000.
How long did you get away with that before like you knew that the feds were onto you?
Well, I started taxes in 2009. The feds started getting on to me around 2012, which was on my discovery. I thought 14, but it was actually 2012 when they really started coming investigating. And what happened was they sent someone out, a field auditor, and she came in, they did like a compliance check. And of course I knew I was going to fail. I failed. And then after that, the next years later, they came back and the lady, she pulled all my files and started out for 25. And after that, you get a penalty. And she said, Miss Harris, if you do not go in and be sure that everything is accurate and necessary doing these processing these returns, if the IRS come in, the feds come in and they seize your files, computers, you're going to be in big trouble. I kid you not. The next week, the feds swarm in my office. I mean, I'm living under the life of luxury and just everything is so phenomenal. And then all of a sudden, you know, I'm just like, well, money can pay for this, money can pay for that. That's BS. Money can't pay for everything, especially your freedom. and I was already messing up, and I wasn't doing
Yeah.
anything to try to keep up with what I was doing wrong, and honestly, when I got so far into it, I became so overwhelmed and engulfed with it that I wanted something to come in and stop me, if that makes sense. I just wanted out, but I didn't know a way. Every year I want to process returns, do returns, but I really wanted out of it. I didn't know what to do. And when it happened, it hurt, but it took me on to a whole new level.
So you kind of became powerless over the greed. And then it seems like you had so much shit going on that, was illegal, that by the time you realized how big and the scope of the operation you were doing, you were just like, well, I'm all in. So I'm going to need somebody to make me stop. Is that kind of how it went?
It is. And actually, the federal agent, when he sat down and talked to me, he said, listen, I don't know if you think you Robin Hood taking from the rich and giving to the poor, but it just doesn't work like that. He told me that. I'll never forget that. So I'm like, shit, I'm in hot water. But you don't realize how much of hot water you in, because they said, oh, you're a target of an investigation. What investigation took years. It actually took 5 years, because understand, with the feds, they're building up their story against you. So not only did my hot ass just go ahead and say, okay, they got me, I'm going to stop right here. The next year, I found somebody else to go through so that I can process returns. Now, my clients didn't know I was going through all that. I'm a private person. I didn't let nobody know about the insides and outsides of what's going on in my life. I felt like I want to live low, keep it low. If they don't give a shit, I don't either. Let me run it. And that's exactly what happened. When I did that, I messed up, because that added on an additional 60 returns to the already 200 plus that I already had them investigating on. So it was bad.
Damn. So after it all said and done, how much time did the feds end up giving you?
Well, when I went to court, my attorney, she kept saying, oh, you're going to get probation. Not a big deal. I mean, you haven't been in any trouble. When I got there, they argued the fact, for one, we didn't discuss the money version of it. The money, she stated that I owed 14 million, but that wasn't true. So when she got the right calculations, it was 2.5. They reduced it to 1.1 because I accepted responsibility, and they slammed me with 30 months in federal prison.
Damn. So when you took that sentence, like, what was going through your head when you knew you were about to go to federal prison?
I could not breathe. Like, I was in just mortified. Like, because I'm like, what do they mean? I thought that I was going to go that day, but I did not understand that they have what's called self-surrender. So they gave me 2 months. I cried because I had my children that I had to explain to, that mommy's going somewhere, and I don't know how to tell you that I'm going to be gone for a long time. So life is going to change. Everything that I instilled is going to change with you. And I had a baby that was 1 at the time. So I didn't know how to break away from that bond of giving birth to a new child. Like, it was hell. It was a nightmare.
Yeah. So was your family supporting you through all of this, like as it was going on?
No, actually, my mom, she did get my children, which I'm appreciative of, because being in there, most people don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
And as far as finances, I didn't really have a whole lot of money coming in, but they just still were like I was. They were still shocked. Like, are you serious? We were all still. It's kind of like that dying process when you're dying and you're dying. You go through the acceptance, the grieving, it was all of that hit at one time, and you only have 2 months to figure it out. So it was really rough.
Yeah, I don't have any kids, so I didn't get to experience like when I went to prison having kids, but I'm sure like that has a big toll on you. The mental thoughts of not being able to be with your kids, and how are they going to survive? And then, how are you going to survive when you're in prisons?
Right.
Yeah. So that's gotta be, that's its whole entity itself, is dealing with
Mhm.
all that. Now, when you got to federal prison, which federal prison did you end up going to?
I ended up going to Aliceville, Alabama, which they have that one. The majority is 90% immigration. So they consider this kind of like ICE. And for those viewers who don't know, ICE is an immigration holding facility. So I was basically there with a lot of immigrants who were waiting to be deported. And it's very far and few between. There's no black, white, gray. I mean, there's just, you know, fewer blacks, fewer whites, and everybody else is just from another country. So, I mean, Americans really didn't have a whole leeway there. We only just did what we could while we were there managing together as a whole, as unity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So when you went there and let's say you're a month in to doing your time in federal prison, like what were some of the things that you had to adjust to by seeing stuff going on, the living situations, the violence, the corruption? Like, were you in total shell shock, like for the culture shock aspect, or
Oh God,
yeah,
yes.
okay.
Yes, I was. I wasn't used to seeing women walk around and be in love with each other. Like the whole I mean, it was I have nothing against anyone that has, that's gay,
Right.
lesbian, LGBT. I don't have anything against anyone, but for me being in there, that was something new because on in the out here in society we see husband, wife, or whatever, and you know, but there it was more so everybody it was female on female. So I wasn't used to that. Also, I wasn't used to taking a pad, a MAXI pad, and cleaning the floors, taking a tampon and washing out my dishes, buying bleach for $5 that's in an Ajax bottle, a regular size Ajax. I wasn't used to that. I mean, not
So
even $5 or $10.
so you had to clean the floor in your cell with a maxi pad?
Well, the reason why we had to, now understand, they had a mop, but it was one mop on the whole unit for 160 women, I think, or two mops. It wasn't that many. So I was germophobic, being that I worked in the medical field, and my bunkie was too. So we just used pads, which was something that they were already doing before me. Take both maxi pads and then you wipe the floor really clean, and then you don't stop until there's nothing else on the maxi pad. So, and if you
Yeah.
wanted extra blankets, that's another thing. You're only entitled to 2 blankets. Well, I knew somebody who was in laundry, so I paid 2 stamps for each extra blanket that I wanted. So I get 2 extra blankets off of that. I wasn't used to downsizing in a little tiny locker to put all my stuff in. There is makeup and glam in there, but it's not like what you see on the streets. There is no hair weave. There is no extensions. There's no eyelash. You don't get all that. You are all natural. Yes. I wasn't also used to, a lot of people don't know this, but you have to do count time. So what count time is every hour they call a 10-minute move. So the 10 minutes, you have 10 minutes to get where you get where you at, or the lieutenant will come out and they take you to the office and write you up, and then you're losing time for nothing, or you have to do extra duty. It's more like trying to educate you on being right, if that makes sense, or not breaking the rules, but adhering to the rules, if that makes sense.
Yeah, most definitely. So, well, that's funny you said that about the maxi pad, because always, in prison, you have one or two different kind of inmates. One being they don't give a shit what their cell looks like. They don't care about their clothes. They don't care about nothing. And then you have people like what you were doing. Like, I've seen a bunkie in confinement clean the whole cell with state toothpaste and make shit shine and everything. So
yes,
I'm like you. I ain't trying to live in no dirty ass cell. So I get
yeah,
what you're
no.
saying.
I'll tell you one thing. I had a bunkie. Now there's the lesser of the two evils. Okay, you're already in prison. That's one thing. But two, you have to face the reality of your bunkie. I had one bunkie that was so nasty. I don't know if she was depressed or what. She would not clean. She would wake up, and in the state that she was, she wouldn't brush her teeth. She grabbed a chair. In the cell, you have 2 chairs, 2 beds. She grabbed her chair with her bunk number on there, take it downstairs, and she just watching TV. So me and her got into it because your hygiene is important. I mean, you have the luxury of being there not paying bills. Why not go wash your ass? So she wouldn't
Yeah,
do that.
water's free.
Yeah, she would not go do that. Like, we really had it out. She said, "Oh, I thought you were my friend." I said, "Hold on, I'ma still be your friend. Go wash your ass." That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Like, I mean,
For
it was
real.
just so bad. And then even when the toilet rule, even when they're using the restroom, okay, we're flushing. You flush, the flushing is something else. When you get in there, you can't get out, you're on lockdown. Flush, it's called a courtesy flush when somebody's using the restroom. I don't care if before that pee hit that toilet, flush.
Yeah, put some water on that shit, bro.
That part. She would sit there and take a shit and wouldn't even flush until after she was completely done. So I had to
Oh
live in there
man,
and
she's a
listen to,
savage.
yes, listen to the noises of you taking a shit and not just that, smelling it. So listen, it was bad. It was bad. So we quickly moved from out of that room because she found me to be her bunkie for whatever reason, because people are already complaining that she was nasty. But I moved in with another one. But she wasn't nasty. She was clean. She just had a girlfriend. So they would go in, they would pay somebody to watch the unit. They would watch the room to make sure it's okay. So I'm going to the law library all day long. I don't come back to your recall, which is at 9 o'clock. By the time I get there, they have the wiki up on the window, the lights off, so we know they're having sex. I'm waiting out you to pay somebody. So me and her got into a big time. She didn't argue back. She was like, you know what? You're right. We're just gonna go talk to the counselor. Do you know the counselor made her stay an additional 2 weeks because we were into it? Because they want you to fail. They want you to fight. That way you go to the shoe and you lose your good days. So it was crazy in there. It was crazy.
When you were in there, what would you say is the most violent thing that you saw, either with guards and inmates or inmates?
Well, with the inmates, because the guards, usually if you get you a good guard, you good to go. You ain't really got nothing to worry about. But this one incident where this girl woke up, they had a fight in a room, you know, nobody got caught, but they shut the door, put the wiki up, tearing it down. Because the girl got her ass beat, she got mad. So the next day she woke up as soon as they opened the doors. And when she saw the doors open, she grabbed a sock and put a few locks up in there and went and beat her, like bloody beat her with those locks. So they took them to the shoe, and I think she actually got shipped to another place. And then the next story I had was when a girl went in, they were arguing down in rec or arguing on the unit or something, and she took two regular irons, and just started beating her with the irons, beating her. It was crazy. They probably fight quick.
Did you see anything as far as like guards with inmates, whether it be the guards beating the inmates, or did you see any relationships between guards and inmates when you were in there?
Oh shit, here we go. Yep, I did. One of my bunkies, I wouldn't have believed this in my whole life. I thought she was BSing me. She said, Bunky, it's been 6 years. I haven't had sex. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna have sex with him. I said, what? She said, watch this. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna ease him right on in. And she did. She went over there. She talked to him every day. So what he would do, he caught the bait. So when he would come and unlock the doors, he would push on ours a little bit harder so that she knows that he's working. And like I said, I wouldn't believe nothing she said, but all of it started making sense when this was going on. Yep. The way they would have sex, I know everybody was like, well, if the guards are monitoring the inmates, everybody's being nosy watching. How does this happen? Easy. In the library, we don't have cameras over in the library. So what it is when you're across from the office, there's the inmates' restroom, and there's also the guards' restroom, which is their own private restroom with one toilet in there. They sneak off up in there while the whole hallway is empty and everybody's in the law library or in classroom.
There was no other inmates that knew about that and snitched on it?
It was just me. As far as
oh, you're the only one that knew?
That knew about that situation. Yeah.
Damn. So yeah. Did you ever have other female inmates like approach you and try to get into a relationship with you?
No, it doesn't really work like that. Honestly, if that's something that you're already into, or if you're curious about it, then usually it happens to those people, not necessarily someone that's heterosexual. I mean, It's not generally one of us. It's usually somebody that already has those tendencies, not anyone else.
Yeah. They call that gay for to stay straight at the gate.
Yes. Look, I had one story where this one girl, we were in there. She came in a full-blown stud. I'm talking about deep voice and everything. The minute she got ready to leave, she came back on the unit with her regular clothes on and was looking like a female. I'm like, what the fuck? How did you do that? How did you just transform from male to female just that quick?
But she got to look like a female now. She's going back to her husband.
Yeah. Yes, I think from my understanding, a lot of them come in, and when they don't have a lot of money coming on their books, they have to compensate in another way, and that's to become a stud coming in, so that the women, the females who crave studs and are obsessed with them, they really do take care of them. They pour out everything. They will call and lie to grandma and whoever else just to be able to get extra money to support themselves and their lover, and it's pretty sad, but it's true.
They do that shit in the men's prison. They call them punks, booty bandits, whatever you want to call them, but it's all for like a money hustle most of the
Yeah.
time. When you were in there in federal prison, like, was there anything that helped you rehabilitate yourself if you wanted to? Like, a regular person watching this, the prison atmosphere tends to put off that, like, we're rehabilitating people. Did you see that when you were in there, or was it kind of just like dead time?
No, actually, for a lot of people, it depends on how you make your stay. Already mentally, because I had that 2 months to advance to be able to go in, I had to come up with a game plan. And a lot of you who are watching, if you're self-surrender, or you know someone, get yourself together and come up with a game plan. What are you going to do when you go in? You can't fold now because it's already too late. You're over that stage. It's nothing you can do to change that time. It's going to happen. So what I did was I became a teacher while I was there. I talked with another person. They were like, listen, I'll get you in. I'll talk to the officer that's over the program, and that way you can teach. You have to come up with your own curriculum, but be ready to teach. And that's what I did. I came up with that. Any monies that I had coming in, for one, I opened up a bank account. I found out on the streets which bank accounts accept prisoners or somebody that's incarcerated. And for me, it was Justice Federal Credit Union. They accepted me with $5 and a copy of my inmate ID card. And I sent that in, and I was able to deposit from my TrueLinks straight over to my bank account. I also took any extra money instead of going in, gaining 500 pounds in prison and being depressed. Any extra money, I financed my education, and I became a paralegal. I started out helping with the simple cases, and then once I started doing a few little state cases, everything was on, and then it advanced from there. So it gave me a push in the edge to say, I can do this. I don't have to give up. I don't have to be consumed in being depressed and sadness or whatnot.
Yeah, well, hey, props to you for doing that while you were incarcerated, because I'm sure like I know, tons of people go in there and they look at it, oh, this is just a little vacation. I'm gonna get me a stud. I'm a gamble. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do. But for you, it sounds like your mind was set on making sure you're going to use that time. So when you get out, like, you've learned stuff and can put that to use when you get out. So I salute you for doing that. That's
thank you.
Yeah, that's definitely what's up. All right. So you stayed in federal prison, you got out. What's going on in your life now?
Right now, I still work for the incarcerated. I have my own paralegal firm called Harrison Associates paralegal firm, and I also do private care work, to where it's the ones that are either dying or need general assistance with daily activities and needs and such. So I have Mary's Home Care Angels also. So immediately when I came out running, but understand I was also still afraid of people. So I'm still like kind of territorial when it comes to certain people, and I don't really trust. I kind of ease my way in with people because everything to me is a setup, if that makes sense. Like, everything is, even though it's not happening, and I know that, but because I was in with so many people that had a motive behind something, I try to go in and take things easier and lighter. But that's what I'm doing right now. I help the incarcerated with their legal cases, as far as doing emotions and such.
That's what's up. So, and I agree totally with what you said. For me, being in the game, going to prison, and now being out, I really have a hard time even having friends sometimes, because like you're saying, unfortunately, in today's world, a lot of people have a motive, whether it's they want something you got, or they hate you because you got something they don't got. And so you kind of have to, like, maneuver around, who you want to surround yourself with. And I always say I'd rather have 4 quarters than a bunch of pennies, if you get what I'm saying.
That's right.
So do you have any social media with your business that we were just talking about?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook under Rojana Ro Harris, or you can also check me out on Instagram under Rojana Harris. And you can email me or text message or whatever, to get in touch with me. I'm usually more conversive with everybody, and I'm able to at least let you know what path you need to be on to, or if you're trying to get assistance to figure out what happens when you actually go in, what's required when you go in, what they do, or anything additional to support you going in, please, I am open. Let me know, and I'll guide you in the right way.
Yeah, and if you want, send me the links to everything you just said, your Facebook, your email, and I'll put it in the description of this video. So that way, if they, it'll give them direct access to your, your movement and your social media. But the one thing I like to ask a lot of people is if there's somebody young watching this and, they don't really have to be young, they could be old, and they're making bad decisions that could lead them to prison or with drugs or whatever the case is. What would you say to that one person watching that's struggling?
I want to say that we've all been through struggle. Lift your head up. You can do this. You don't have to do anything illegal. There's enough money out in this world for everybody. Take your time. Always, always develop a plan. Correct your mindset. Change things that's going to do something that's going to be conducive to your new lifestyle. Take it in abundance. Agree with it, set it off, and keep striving for nothing but the best. You are phenomenal. You have a vision. You are a person. Continue your focus. Keep your head up high. This is not just about you, but the people that are surrounding you and watching you.
Vision without action is merely a dream. So,
Absolutely.
You got to work for what you want. But I just want to thank you for coming on the channel. I think you have a positive message. Congratulations on changing your life around. And now, going back into the fire and getting the people out that, so they can make something of their life. Did you want to give a shout out to anyone?
Yes, I want to give a shout out to my bestie, Shanquella, to Kyra, to I have a bestie that's in prison. Her name is Cheryl. She has about 7 more years to go. Stay strong. I'm still fully supportive of everybody that's in the prison community and everybody that's fighting for justice, because we all need that. Whether you're within, you've never been within, or someone that is within. Do it all you can to make sure to keep your sanity and stay out of that depression. That shit don't even work anymore. This is 2021 and we're focusing on forward.
Amen to that. Well, hey, just want to thank you for coming on again. If you guys are watching for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and make sure you turn on post notifications on all. So every time we drop an episode, you can hear it first. And with that, it's DOC TV and we're out.